Right.
And now, rate
One
that
sec.
album.
I'll be right back. I'm actually going to pour
Season
myself a
3
little glass of scotch while we do
with
this.
Paul
Because I can.
Muad'Dib.
Jay-Z
Joe
drove me to
Fremen.
drink. Jay-Z drove me to
guys
drink. One sec.
No stuff.
Actually, yeah, okay. Alright. Actually, no, I splurged a little bit and got myself some Johnny Walker Green, so
Oh, nice.
I've been making excuses to drink it.
Fine with me. I need my caffeine for the podcast. Otherwise, I get too goofy.
Yeah, no, fair enough. All right, sir, go ahead and start when you're ready.
Hi, and welcome back to Rate That Album. Back and forth album review between myself, Joseph Reming, and my good friend Paul Muad'Dib. Paul, how are you doing?
I need an encore, buddy. I need an encore. No,
Well,
I'm good.
Please allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Joe, J to the O-E.
I can't even keep up with you on that. No, I'm good. You know, we are officially making this part of this. When you hear this, you'll have other things before it, but this will be the official first episode of season 3 of the show. So, yeah, no, we're doing good. I'm glad we did this. I'll be very, 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 very frank, and I'll make this. I've never listened to the Black Album front to back before. I've listened to tracks off of it. I've always meant to do it. I'm very familiar with about, I would say, 10 of the 13 songs, but I've never actually sat down and listened to it as an album.
Yeah, so we're discussing Jay-Z's Black Album. Yeah, and it's an album where, yeah, like you said, 10 of the songs have had airplay out of it, which is kind of remarkable. They weren't all big hits, but a lot of people can recognize them. So, Paul, let's talk about Black Album. Paul, 2003, Jay-Z announced he was going to retire.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And his farewell album was going to be called The Black Album.
Didn't Metallica already do it 10 years earlier?
Well, I think Spinal Tap beat all of them to the punch. This is going to be his farewell album. Very much sounds like a farewell album. It would have been an amazing farewell album.
What's that?
It would have been probably one of the finest farewell albums had he actually retired.
Yeah, hands down. Had he actually retired, this would have been the shit. Yes. I did not know when listening to this that this was his retirement album, so I'm going to bring up some things as we go through some of this tracks and things like that I was questioning the order of the album, actually.
Yeah, it's a weird album. We'll get to that. Yeah, this is a pretty remarkable album. It's, in my opinion, his strongest album. It's up there with, I would say, with the Blueprint albums, and after this album, I don't think he even came close to anything like this until he did Watch the Throne with Kanye West.
Yeah,
maybe Blueprint 3, but this one's front to back is more solid than I think anything he'd ever put out. I think that's also a reason why. I think the reason that is he saw this as his grand farewell. So it feels like he put everything into it. And it was an interesting album going in because each track was originally going to be produced by a different producer.
Which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting. It turned out not to be that way, but he does have a heavy hitters if you will, especially of the time of producers. He has the Neptunes, Timbaland, Eminem and Resto, Rick Rubin, DJ Quick, and of course a young up-and-comer at the time, Kanye West. Now, Kanye, I think he'd release his solo album shortly after this comes out. But I remember when this hit, nobody really knew who he was.
No. And it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. This kind of like puts him on the map. And honestly, the songs he produces are, at least one of them is like one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, say what you will about the man, he could fucking produce albums.
Oh God, yeah. And what I'm going to bring up now before we go through it, because I'm just going to talk a little bit about this part of it, was I realized I know more about hip hop than I thought I did. Because once again, I'm listening to this album, and it wasn't until 10 minutes before we started recording that I pulled up the Wikipedia, because I wanted to go in with as little as possible, right?
Yeah.
But as I was listening to him, I'm like, God, that sounds a lot like Kanye. God, that sounds a lot like a beat that Eminem would do, And when he's calling out like Rick Rubin, I knew Rubin was 99 Problems because
Rubin's
I've done
up
that
in
song.
the video for 99 Problems,
Yeah, and again, I've done it for karaoke. And he's listed as one of the writers.
Yeah.
So yeah, now the one I didn't know because I've completely forgot about him was Timbaland.
Yeah,
I didn't pick
say
that
what you
one
will about him, he could produce, and especially Timbaland does Dirt Off Your Shoulders, so whatever your reservations are about him, he did Dirt Off Your Shoulders and you didn't.
Exactly. So I give Timbaland credit for that. Yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this is an interesting album. Again, this is kind of like the beginning of, at least, I know hip hop, but at this time I'm a little foggy, but I think this is maybe a year before Kanye's first album, The Dropout or whatever. I forget what it was, Late Registration or something.
Yep, The Dropout. The Dropout came out the same year as this one. Yep.
Yeah, and so this kind of like, it's a weird watershed moment for hip hop. Now let's kind of go back in the Wayback Machine into the 90s before, because there was a huge, I think a lot of people forget, there was a huge hole left in the hip hop community, and especially with like popular hip hop when after the deaths of B.I.G. and Tupac.
Absolutely.
Because that's when the West Coast stuff started to implode with Death Row Records. I mean, we could do a whole, that's another label we could probably do a whole podcast on.
Holy shit. Yeah, the fact that, it's not even over, right? Because just in the last, 3 months,
Snoop bought it.
Snoop bought it. So, I mean, the story of it isn't even over yet. Yeah. Death Row is so, such a storied label.
Yeah. And so, like, there's like this weird, like, after that happens, it's like it takes like a few beats before a new rise of MCs come along. One of them, Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Nas, and then especially at that time, Eminem.
Eminem was coming up big time.
Yeah. So these three kind of started like, this was the next wave of popular hip hop, and Jay-Z was very close with B.I.G. And there was all the beefs were coming back, but it's undisputed, I think, that Jay-Z is now considered the king of that era.
100%.
I would say if there's going to be a Mount Rushmore of MCs, Jay-Z's on it.
Yes. I think so from my mind,
that's debatable, but he's definitely one of them.
He's one of them. And around the same time too, after B.I.G. died, Puffy was also a big thing that was coming up at the time. But I personally don't think P. Diddy put out the amount of great material that Jay-Z did.
And to be honest, Puff Daddy was more of a producer than an MC.
Yes. Yep. He tried to step out and do it. And I always felt that his production work was far better than what he would put out on his own albums. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when Dr. Dre would rap. Like, you'd hear it and you'd be like, oh, good thing he's just mostly a producer.
Yeah. I mean, people are like, oh man, why wasn't there a Chronic 2? Because that was his best. it took
he did
that
Chronic,
long.
Chronic 2001, and I say after the Chronic, he didn't really have to do another album.
No, and that was
that's
it.
like that's just like when we talk about perfect albums again. That's probably as close as you're going to get to a perfect hip hop album. Is the Chronic.
Is the Chronic? Yeah, 100%. I mean, that thing will go down. So yeah, I mean, if there's a Mount Rushmore, I mean, Dre's on it.
Yeah,
absolutely, Dre's on it.
Jay-Z,
Jay-Z, 100%. I wish I could say Kanye would be on it, but he's not.
No, he's not a good. Like, he's not in a. If we're gonna do
we'll do a Kanye West album at some point and talk about it for sure.
Yeah, he's talented. He's just not a strong MC. Dre's not a strong MC.
Slick Rick is on that top. On that.
Here's a Mount Rushmore of MC. Slick Rick's on it. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z's on it.
Yeah.
You know, Snoop I would probably put on there just because he's a different cadence. He is a different cadence.
So. Yeah.
So Jay-Z kind of like came and fucking he picked up that throne dropped by Biggie and he took it all the way, man. Like
he really did.
And he's knocking it out of the park with each album. And then in 2003, he's like, I'm going to retire. And he records the Black Album again. We'll get into it track by track, but it's probably at least in my opinion, it's his best album.
I would agree with that. I mean, let's, because we don't go back and really, go back and do multiple albums. Okay, so the Blueprint, right, which is the other one that this one gets compared to a lot. People are like, was it as good as the Blueprint? Okay, so does it have Izzo on it? No, it doesn't have Izzo on it. Izzo was like a club thing, things like that. Okay, so that's not on it. Does it have Jigga That Nigga? Yeah, I would say actually it does, and we'll get there. But overall, I mean, the Blueprint, it really is like 2 or 3 songs that I really feel like elevate it. And let's be frank here. Now that's an old album. That one came out 2 years earlier, and now he's going to retire, by the way. But Kanye West was also working with him on that album as well. So was Eminem. So when he brought back these people for the Black Album, I feel pound for pound the songs are far more weighted and have far more gravitas than they did on the Blueprint.
And again, I think it's because he thought this was going to be his last album, and I think he really brought it. And another thing that's interesting, and we'll talk about it a bit, I think, as we go along, is that even though like it's almost all different producers, it still has the same feel throughout from track 1 to track 14, which is very how you know what I mean? Like you get so many different producers with so many different styles, but yet each feels like it belongs to the next one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, there's definitely what feels like a running theme, and the only thing that's there is Jay-Z creating that chord between the songs, and that is part of his strength.
Yep. And I'd say this is also his lyrically his strongest album. There's 100%. A lot of reflection on this album. And looking back at his own career, which I mean, at this point, it's not really a long one.
No, it's really a short career. Like in that time frame, he put out, I think this was the Black Album. Was it his 8th or 9th album?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Which people go, yeah, that's not a long career, but you got to realize he's basically like Reasonable Doubt, I think was his first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe.
And Reasonable Doubt was
at least that's the first one I remember.
Yeah, and I just looked at it. It was the first one. That came out in 96. He's retiring supposedly in 2003. It's not even a 10-year it's not even a 10-year career in the music business. People don't retire in the music business in 7 years. But in 7 years, most people don't put out 9 fucking albums.
No. And those albums each having #1 hits on each one.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, again, that's a rare thing. Very rare. So this was like, we'll get into it, but yeah, he seemed very reflective. There's a part where he talks about how he could have been a Tali Kweli. I butchered that, but you know,
that's okay.
But, I think he could have, but he went another route. Like he's looking back and then he's kind of comparing himself to other MCs, but it really doesn't matter to him, which is a weird kind of dynamic. But let's talk about the weird tracking because we're going to track by track, and it starts with interlude.
Yes. So okay, I did not realize again. In 2003, I'm going to be very, very honest. The Black Album was nowhere near my radar with the group of people I was hanging out with at the time. We were very much into more of the college rock. Okay. And I really came into a lot of these things, I would say probably within 3 years' time after this album came out, I started to really get into it. So I did not know that this was a retirement album. Even knowing that. So it starts with interlude, which is weird. Like, why do you start with an interlude? Then
it ends with his first song.
And it ends with my first song. And like the first 3 songs, 2, 3, and 4, all sound like, when I'm gone and I'm done, and then it kind of ends like those are, like, okay, so it should have been like, I should have ended, in my opinion, with December 4th, or like that should have been the second to last track. Then What More Can I Say? Then do encore. Like end it with encore. Like it's the encore. End the fucking album with it. So I don't know what happened or where it happened. I think it's because of the theme, like beat wise and musically, it's there's a flow to it. Yeah. And I wonder if the vocal or to be fair, I think a lot of rappers know that not everyone's going to hang on every single word. There's going to be some things that get lost to their normal audience. So I think it was, what's more important, the lyrical content of, hey, this is, I'm saying I'm done, blah, 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 or is the flow of the record? And I think
the flow of the record.
The flow of the record.
Even though it starts with an interlude, it works.
So I'm going to bring up, I'm going to compare this to a second here to Radiohead. I know that sounds crazy, like what the fuck? But so Radiohead put out that album, what was it? The Moon, a moon-shaped pool. Okay. One of the things I've always loved about Radiohead was their ability to have a flow to their albums. With a pool-shaped moon, instead of having a flow, because these are a lot of songs that they, it's almost like the last Pink Floyd album that they did, where they just released like unreleased stuff over the years. They released the tracks alphabetically. And I love Radiohead. I do not like a moon-shaped pool at all, because the flow doesn't go in an order where I can feel like, oh man, this is good. And I will give Jay-Z total props to this, is the fact that he had the album, he made an album that had a flow and said, fuck, what the original intent was, we got to make it have this flow.
Yeah, I think because it flows like that. Because honestly, you could have started the album with December 4th. Mm-hmm. You would have ended it and started it with that. Yep. But it would also work as a beginning, because it's basically his mom telling his story.
Yep, which was really cool, which is really well done.
Yeah. And then you go into What More Can I Say, which is the first song that kind of has a hook.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that. And then you get into so Encore, Paul.
Oh God. So this is the one right away where I knew Jay-Z was, Kanye West was on it. I'm like, this is a Kanye West beat and feel. Yeah. Like 100%. Like, I'm like, oh man, Kanye, like I was like, God, is Kanye on this? And then later, I think it's in Lucifer, he calls him out, and I was like, yep, all right. So Kanye West was sneaking around the fucking boards in the studio. Encore is a fucking okay. 99 Problems gets like the most love. Yep. Encore is like, to me, the topper of this album. It's so fucking good.
Oh, it's fucking great. Yeah, and this is
that beat.
It's a West production,
and
he just fucking kills it. He just fucking kills it. It's great.
It is great. It is absolutely fucking amazing. I mean, again, I know 99 Problems is like the big one off of this, but it should have been Encore because it is. I mean, just the vibe of it, and again, it's Jay-Z makes it his own, and but I mean, this is. I mean, again, like. But again, in terms of the lyrics, I was like, this is a weird place for track 4 to be.
Yeah.
You know,
but it works.
It does work. It does work. But I will say, I think it's kind of weird when he's saying, like, I'm young H.O. raps Grateful Dead. Like, dude, you haven't been around that long, man. It's 7 years and you're retiring. Like, come on.
Yeah. Well, it's, again, it's those lines that not everybody's going to hang on with all of them all the time. But, yeah. But this also showed that the combination of Jay-Z and Kanye, that's why I really love Watch the Throne, because I think they really work very well together. And it's
very well.
I don't think they'll ever work again.
I don't think they'll ever work together again.
Yeah.
I think Kanye burned that bridge with Jay-Z. Yeah,
and that's a shame, because I think they bring out the strengths in each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear it on Encore, and you hear it on Lucifer, and all and then Watch the Throne with like Black Skinhead and shit like that. It's just like these guys, when they work together, it's magic.
It is magic, and that is it's you and I have seen, we've always said, don't meet your heroes, right? Don't meet your idols. But yeah, it's really unfortunate that Kanye kind of sucked up into his own ass.
Yeah.
And I'll steal that quote from one Quentin Tarantino. He got sucked up into his own ass, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight, Paul.
Wouldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight.
All right.
Goddamn sense. Try and test me.
We get into Change Clothes with Pharrell Williams.
And you could hear Pharrell in there. Yep.
Very unique voice.
Very unique.
I love Pharrell.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Pharrell
is awesome. Really. I think Pharrell doesn't get enough credit. Then you get Dirt Off Your Shoulder, which is a great song.
Favorite. This is my favorite song of the album.
It's so good. And this is the one where I didn't pick out Timbaland. Like, once I saw it was Timbaland, I'm like, of course it's Timbaland.
Of course it's
Timbaland. But,
yeah, it's like, again, it's like a lot of this album is just like, it's like shit, like nothing's gonna knock me down, man. Like 99 Problems and this are just like those kind of tracks where it's like Dirt Off My Shoulders, like you don't mean shit to me, people.
Mm-hmm. So fucking good. Yeah, I love that. Absolutely. It is. And I think there's been, I mean, it's just what I can't even with it. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's so catchy.
This
thing of this album is a lot of catchy songs.
And the beats, like, again, that beat is the shit.
Yeah.
That beat is the absolute shit. If you feel like a pimp, go and put your shoulders off. Ladies are pimps too. Go and put your shoulders off.
Yeah, it was pretty progressive at that time, saying ladies are pimps too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this is Jay-Z at his best, before Beyonce just kicked his balls into the
ground. Again, I'm so surprised we didn't do 444, but we're here and I'm loving it.
I want to do a good one, Paul.
Fair enough.
All right. We get Threat next, which is
this is my favorite. Honestly, this is my favorite track on the album.
Yeah, he's a little angry on this one, Paul.
I did not know that was Cedric the Entertainer. I was looking for, because I thought it was clips from like a movie, like a blaxploitation film that I didn't see, which it probably isn't possible, because I've seen all of them. But yeah, that's Cedric the Entertainer on there. Oh my God, he is. I told you 9 or 10 times, stop fucking with me. I told you 9 albums, stop fucking with me. Oh, good. And then you got Cedric just being fucking crazy.
Oh God, yes.
I can't trash things. I put you in the mattress like drug money. I'll chop you up, put you inside the mattress like drug money.
Oh yes.
I'll throw a Molotov through your mama's house where everybody lives. Oh my God. Yeah, I had an inappropriate daddy time in the car, and I was like, don't tell mom I'm listening to this right now.
Your kids are getting an education, Paul.
They sure is.
Thanks to Rate That Album.
Best Dad Award. I love that one. Yeah, I love Threat.
Threat's good. Next, we have Moment of Clarity, which actually, it's produced by Eminem and Resto. It feels kind of like an Eminem song.
That was the thing when I was listening to it. I was like, for 2003, he hadn't done Mom Spaghetti yet. This has that Mom Spaghetti feel with like the bass and things like that. Yeah. Like this to me feels, because if I'm remembering correctly, Joe, I think you only had the Slim Shady LP and the
Marshall Mathers. Yeah,
LP,
those were the only ones that he had out,
which were both more comedy. Like it was more like a comedy type of album. I mean, he was still rapping, but I mean, God, I remember laughing my ass off to a bunch of those songs. I think
Marshall Mathers had Stan.
Did it? Yes, it had Stan. Yes.
So yeah, he was kind of breaking out at least by then, at least doing a little more serious. But yeah, because his first one is Marshall Mathers. It's there's humor in it. And it's kind of shock.
Yep, because it had the skits in it.
Yeah.
I believe it was because the Marshall Mathers also had the real Slim Shady still. I'm thinking of Mushrooms from Slim Shady LP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But he hadn't gone, to where he would. But I really think that this right here, Moment of Clarity, is the genesis and origin of him coming up with some really strong, serious beats.
Yeah, and I think it's also like, it's a few years after Stan, so it also feels kind of has that more serious vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Eminem has an interesting career. I don't like all of his stuff, but like when he's on fire, he's on that mount. He'd probably be on the Mount Rushmore of MCs.
He would deserve it.
Like nobody can. I mean, he humiliated Machine Gun Kelly to the point the guy makes pop punk now.
Yeah, no, he is. I love the guy. So. Yeah,
I never met him, so I don't know if I love him.
Fair story.
Next, now we come to probably the biggest song off the album, produced by Rick Rubin, 99 Problems. This has always been my breakup song.
Yeah.
Like if I go through a breakup, this is it's 99 Problems, man.
Well, and
you're crazy for this one, Rick.
You're my boy. Okay, I have done this song for karaoke. I did this song when Bruce Henches was at the karaoke bar I was at, and I'm like, hey, I know you. I'm like, hey, you, the high school, and he's like, yeah, I'm the principal. I'm like, yeah. Hey, I'm gonna do a song. Check this out. And I was 99 Problems. I absolutely adore this song. However, I think our last couple episodes, this song I don't think you can make today. This would be problematic. I think people would be all over it if you tried to make 99 Problems today. I've already heard people like it's already got kind of a reputation. Personally, I think it's a brilliant song, and those that think it's problematic have not probably listened to it, because especially that third verse, it really gets into what he's talking about.
Oh, people are upset all the time by stupid bullshit. Just need to fuck right off. There, that's Joe's hot take.
There you go.
Fuck them. Yeah. Fuck them and their stupid hair.
Yeah, it's we just can't enjoy things anymore, can we?
That's just what it is, man.
It's just what it is.
Culture goes through all sorts of changes, but they'll never. They may take my life, but they'll never take my 99 Problems.
They'll never take my 99 Problem. No, the hook, everything on this song.
Yeah, it makes me really wish Rick Rubin would produce more hip hop.
He's got an ear for it, man. Like Rick, but the problem is we've talked about Rick Rubin several times.
He's a problem. He's very problematic with which artists don't like working with him.
Right, like he has a reputation of working with people like once or twice, and no one ever wants to work with him again because he's kind of a prick. Yeah. He did. I mean, he worked with. Let's talk a little bit about this. Excuse me. I mean, over the years, he's worked with LL Cool J. He worked with Run DMC. He worked with Jazzy J. He's worked with the Beastie Boys. He's worked with Public Enemy. He worked with Danzig, but that's besides the point. I mean, this guy's also worked with Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, he's been all aboard. He's, Red Hot Chili Peppers, however you want to refer to them. There is some rap in there. But then he really got into the rock and kind of stayed there. Yeah. Especially, in the 90s, he was, wasn't really around much anymore for it. And then he worked with Jay-Z, and that was really it, right? I think. Oh no,
he helped revitalize Johnny Cash. That was kind of like his big, and he worked with. In the 90s, he was busy with like Johnny Cash and Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He fell kind of into that rock hole.
Yep.
And I think it was especially with hip hop, like him and Russell Simmons, like really burned a lot of bridges at Def Jam.
Yeah.
And we talked about that in our very first episode with Beastie Boys.
We talked about that.
Yeah, they were pretty shady with money and all that, so
just absolute, yeah. I mean, and
then he did, he had him and Danzig butt heads and shit. Like,
well, Danzig butts heads with everyone. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say that.
Well, even it says in Mother, are you gonna bang heads with me?
Yeah. But I mean, yes,
he's literally asking people to butt heads with him.
But yes, I mean. There has been this thing with Rick, but yeah, I mean, why was he working with Poison in 2007? Like, because at that point he burned a lot of bridges and no one really wanted to work with him anymore. Yeah. Yep. So, all right.
So after 99 Problems, we get an actual where an interlude probably should come. In between songs, we get the public service announcement, which is it's fine.
It's fine.
It works just to bridge the gap between 99 Problems and another one of my favorites on the album, Justify My Thug.
Okay, you and I are going to disagree on this one. I love the beat, but I didn't love the flow on it. I felt that the flow didn't match the beat very well. In my opinion, this to me is my least favorite track on the album.
Yeah, it's all right. It's got its hooks. It's got the Madonna hook. People like it. Who cares?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, again,
it's not the strongest, but I like it still. I like the remix that Danger Mouse did with the Grey album with this.
And we're going to discuss the Grey album. We are yes, because
we'll get to that at the end here.
But and again, when I say it's my least favorite track of the album, let me say it in this regards. We have said nothing but good things about it. It's not like it takes a giant dip. It feels
a little clunky. I'll agree with you. It's kind of a clunky with the.
There you go. Thing. Yes. Yep.
Produced by DJ Quick.
Yep.
All right, now we get to this song I just love because it's so fucking ridiculous.
Oh my God.
And this is like, again, this kind of shows the genesis of the brilliance of Kanye with doing batshit crazy productions.
Uh-huh.
We get to Lucifer.
I love this song, dude.
I
love
fucking
this song.
love this. Oh, I'm coughing because I love it so much.
Son of the morning.
Yeah, the sample.
The sample is nuts.
Yeah, the sample is fucking crazy.
And you wouldn't think that
The sample is from Chase the Devil
Yes.
by Max Romeo.
Yes, and again, this goes back to how, like, remember when Harder came out with Kanye, and people are like, "Who would have thought to take that?" And this is again the origin. Like, there is a genius to Kanye for all the shit that he gets. There is a genius there when it comes to being able to create hooks and beats and samples. No one in their right mind would have sampled this. Nobody else but Kanye would have sampled this.
No, I have my problems with Kanye. Obviously, I think we all do because he's kind of turned into a toxic shitbag. Like, I just kind of dipped on the people all woke and being, but they do have a point, and I'll agree with them that buying the house across the street from your ex-wife is some fucking toxic shit.
You don't put out an album of killing your ex-wife's boyfriend. You don't.
I don't know. I kind of think Pete Davidson's a giant dick bag, so I'm all right with that.
Well, here's the thing. Regardless of what your thoughts are with Pete Davidson, there are like red flags manifesting
there's
here.
Giant red flags. Like,
Yeah.
when I heard that and heard he bought the house across the street, and then he did the animation where he kills Pete Davidson.
Yep.
The first thing that popped in my head was O.J. Simpson.
Yes. Absolutely. That was the first thing that popped in my head. I'm like, this is gonna be the next OJ.
Yeah.
This is gonna be really, really bad. I'm still very fearful that we're gonna wake up, and I do not care. I do not give two fucking shits about the Kardashians. I don't give two fucking shits about Pete Davidson. However, in that situation and knowing what we know, I don't wish what Kanye is doing in that situation on anyone.
No, it's
not good. Like, at the end of the day, be a fucking human and care about other people. And again, I don't like Kim Kardashian. I'm not a fan of Pete Davidson. You're listening to me say Kanye West is a fucking genius, but that's way over the line, and someone needs to like put up the thing and saying, "Whoa, wait a minute, this needs to be addressed before someone gets killed." And
somebody's going to get hurt.
Someone's going to get hurt. Yeah.
Like I can see that Kanye is both a musical genius and very problematic.
100%. 100%.
This is so that shit is scary, but Lucifer's
an amazing fucking
the beats on it, man. I'm like, holy shit. Like, it's fucking wild, man. Like, it's like if Jay-Z and Kanye just dropped this song just out of nowhere and like there was no Black Album, I'd still be perfectly happy with it.
Oh God. Yeah. No, this song is, and this is again when I knew that Kanye was on it.
Yeah, it's unmistakably Kanye.
Well, he goes, "Kanye, you did it again. You're a genius." And I'm like, "Oh, like Kanye was on this?" So
yeah, someday we'll do my beautiful dark twisted fantasy, because that has a lot of really weird samples on it.
Yeah,
he even calls himself a gay fish because apparently he can have a sense of humor. After the South Park episode, but then
motherfucking gay fish.
But then he went and attacked South Park anyway again after that show, and like he still has very thin skin.
Very, very, very thin skin. Yeah, Hobbit. Are you a Hobbit? And then you get Allure, which I mean, at this point, this really
is bringing us to the end, man. This is like Allure's fine. Like, I think the samples and stuff are fine. Yeah, this is just basically just like if this is like a baseball game, this is the song that's waving us in to run home. You know?
Yep.
Like, it's like, we're ending this. Come on now, and then Yeah, it's not my favorite, but it's serviceable to get us to my first song.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. It's to get us to my first song, which is a great song, and
kind of weird because he's thanking everybody for his career.
yep,
He's going through it. He thanks Big.
yep,
Bourbon, and Bourbon. We gotta do Big too.
We do gotta do Big at some point.
But yeah, he's thanking everybody for his career because again, this whole experience was like him reflecting on his career and saying goodbye to us, the fans, and the people who got him here. I mean, the song is about how getting from point A to kind of point B.
It's the great way to end.
It's a great way to end it. Yeah. and then he didn't retire.
Nope. And actually, a side note, this is actually was supposedly U.S. Barack Obama's favorite Jay-Z song.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Yeah.
Yeah, and he samples Big.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's so good. I mean,
it's good. It's like it's very kind of humble, which you don't hear in hip hop a lot.
And
a lot of these songs are kind of like shows a side where he's reflective and a little humble at times. Not all the time because it's still a very hip hop, especially with this time, is still very hyper masculine.
I think that this
chest thumping kind of thing, but this is kind of like him.
This is true competence, is what this is. This album is true competence. This is like the antithesis to 444.
Yeah, Paul, this is him going out on top.
Yeah.
This is Jay-Z going out on top of the world. He's saying goodbye. It's the ballsiest move you can do in music. Just like, fuck, I'm done. This is it. I've created my masterpiece. Fuck y'all. Fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. I'm out. And then he wasn't.
And then he came back.
He came back with a bad album called Kingdom Come, I think.
I think it was Kingdom Come was the next album. No, it was Unfinished Business. It was Unfinished Business. That was the next.
He also did that, and like Linkin Park and Smash Up. But like, I think his next official like album was Kingdom Come.
Okay, because that was him with R. Kelly, which is we're not going to talk about R. Kelly, but yes,
I will say if you want unintentional hilarity, watch the Trapped in the Closet movie. It is fucking the most. A little person shits their pants. Like I don't know what's happening. I feel like I'm having I felt like I watched it once. And I felt like I was having a stroke the whole time. Because it's the most insane thing you'll ever watch.
I'll watch it. I will watch it at some point. I promise I will watch it.
R. Kelly's toxic. Don't get me wrong. But Trapped in the Closet is fucking weird. And I would recommend if you want to see something truly bizarre, watch that because Is it
Lynchian?
No. I would say it's almost more Waters-ish, John Waters-ish.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's weird. Beyonce's Lemonade movie, that's Lynchian. This movie is you have to remember, even in the circumstances, like this is a guy on top of the world with an R&B career, and he puts out this movie, and it's the most fucking movie should have just been called WTF.
Nice. All right. I promise I will check that out. So before we get to the Grey album, I do want to talk a little bit about the Blueprint 3 because I think that the Blueprint 3, I am going to say this. You and I, like, at least for me, Jay-Z wasn't as big, whatever, in my mind. And there's people that when the Black Album came out, they weren't really in on it either. And for whatever reason, like I remember working at Target around the time that Blueprint 3 came out. Or was I at Target? I remember seeing it at Target all the fucking time. All the time. On their little thing about, because DOA. Which to me is a great song. But you gotta remember also
I think also Empire State of Mind is a song.
Yep, and his cover of Forever Young was on there. So, Yes. So I just think that there was some things to come that were really good. We're not going to discount that, but I think dollars for donuts, this is by far the crest point and the high note of what Jay-Z's career was.
Yeah.
And is.
And I think it goes into I think he put a lot of effort into this because he thought it was going to be his last.
I completely agree with that. I think
he wanted to go out on top, and if he would have quit after this, he would have. But I don't blame him for not wanting to give up or stop. I don't know what was prompting him to retire, but he didn't, and he put out good music afterwards. So it's not like he was like, "Oh man, what a fucking idiot." Like, it's good, but it's a weird footnote to this album, and it kind of overshadows the album because a lot of it's about self-reflection and looking back at your career and thanking everybody at the end of the album.
So interestingly enough, I did look into this, and in the time frame that you and I were doing this album, because I was really curious about it. We're doing this podcast. So I guess his whole thing was he was going to drop Jay-Z and go to Sean Carter. That he felt that he had gone where he could go as Jay-Z and wanted to kind of break away. So I don't know if in his mind there was a split between who Jay-Z and Sean Carter was, which you don't really see because, again, a lot of rappers go by their names forever. It's just what it is. But yeah, so that was kind of his thing. And actually, when he was going to put out Kingdom Come, he was going to release it under Sean Carter. But they're like, dude, no one knows you as Sean Carter. Like, you got to stay with Jay-Z. Otherwise, it's not going to fucking sell.
You know what he should have done? Should have done what Eminem did and just name one of his albums after his real name.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nobody now knows Eminem is both Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers because his two biggest albums are named after his alter egos and his real name.
Yep. No, completely agree. Like, that would have been smarter. Like, Jay-Z, Sean Carter, Reborn. Boom. There you go. But for whatever reason, he went with Kingdom Come. So there's that. Okay. So real quick, let's get into the Grey album because I love the Grey album. I don't know about you. That. That's what turned me on to. I had never known Danger Mouse prior, and I don't know if he did anything prior. Like, if that was like his big
I think
thing.
That was a big intro. Yeah, that's kind of what got me onto this album because I heard the Grey album back in the day when you downloaded music.
Yep.
I downloaded off SoulSeek, which was was one of those programs that didn't give your computer massive viruses.
Yeah, like Bear Share,
and
then I know, right? Because we were using
LimeWire.
LimeWire.
You might as well just throw your computer in the trash if you download that.
LimeWire was the worst. Everyone used it. I'm like, don't use LimeWire. Yeah, LimeWire fucks up computers, all right. But yeah, the Grey album was and is, I think, a testament to what it really the art, and I think that's what opened up to, because I don't think you can buy the Grey album anywhere.
No, it was just done independently. It could never be sold because of all the copyright issues with Beatles. Although the surviving Beatles members loved it, Jay-Z loved it. How it comes about is this Black Album was one of the few albums that was released with an a cappella version. So, and the whole idea behind that was because it gets out there and gets people, the songs, people are doing their own remixes. So people are hearing the songs, it's getting more push. And that was the whole thing. People are going to remix the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. And then Danger Mouse decided to do the mashup with Beatles' White Album and Jay-Z's Black Album called the Grey Album. And it was really good. It is really good.
It is really good.
Mouse on the map, yes.
Because he is using, and and again, they didn't go through all of the Beatles catalog. He went through the fucking White Album.
Yeah, just one Beatles album and one Jay-Z album.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you're using tracks like "Long, Long, Long" the sample, "While My Guitars Gently Weeps," "Glass Onion," "Mother's Nature's Son," like songs that you wouldn't think you could fucking sample. Julia, like Piggies, Rocky Raccoon. I think you could sample. Like I could see this as a sample, but who the fuck would have thought of sampling Revolution Number 9 is fucking yeah. So, I mean. It is, and again, this to me goes to show like what an art of really sampling is. I mean, the Black Album showcases it, but you know, some of those samples, you're like, oh, was that really a sample, or was that something they recorded in the studio? Because they're so obscure. With the Grey Album, it's like in your face. Like, there's no doubt that this is the Beatles being sampled in an amazing way.
Yeah, it's an art now. I think like the mashup. Because that was a lot of fun when these mashup albums started coming out, and the Grey album was the first one. But there was like a whole bunch of them after, like especially with this album, because again, it came out a cappella. I think I could be wrong, or might be just misremembering things, but I think there was the Purple album where they sampled Purple Rain in this.
Really? I'm gonna look this up.
I might have just dreamed it one night, but hey, if somebody's out there listening to this, can you give us the Purple album?
Apparently the Purple album is out there. It is out there.
Oh, so it wasn't a fever dream of mine.
You are right. I have not heard this. I'm going to have to listen to this. But yes, no, the Purple album is out there. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
So like I remember, so like the mashups that was really interesting, and I think it got again. Jay-Z and Rockefeller and Def Jam, they're not going to complain. Obviously, I don't believe they did a whole lot of trying to cease and desist, because you're getting the album much more publicity.
No, it was the Beatles side that complained. EMI.
Yeah, I think it was EMI, right?
EMI, yep. And Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr were like, "This is not okay," and it's like
I thought they were okay with it. It was just the lawyers at EMI.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm wrong. Yes. The Ringo and McCartney were fine with it. Jay-Z was fine with it. EMI was not.
Yeah, the lawyers. Look at Paul throwing Ringo under the bus like that. Jesus.
Right. God, fucking Ringo. No.
Oh. I haven't seen you go after an old man like this since Al Strobel fiasco in the Twin Peaks podcast.
Wait, what about no? Come on, no, hold on. Yeah, okay, that's fair. I did go after Al Strobel. You're fine.
He dyes his hair. Like, God, man.
Fuck you.
The guy's like 80 years old, and you're mocking him.
Mock. All right, Joe. What is your final kind of census on recommending the Black Album?
Oh, I'd recommend it. This is also, I think, would work as a great introduction. If you want to get into Jay-Z, this was probably a good album to ease yourself in. Blueprint, I would say. Probably say this and Blueprint. If you want to, like, test the waters with Jay-Z, that would be... I wouldn't do Reasonable Doubt. It's a good album, but I think this and Blueprint would be an easier getting into with Hova. Yeah, with Hova. Definitely. The Black Album, again, I'd never sat down and listened to it all the way through, so like me bringing up the whole fact of like the track order kind of thing was like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's jarring. And I hadn't listened to this in years, so like I popped it on, I was like, fuck, interlude. Does it really start with interlude?
Right.
Like,
that's what I thought at first. I'm like, oh man.
I thought I had my it was on random, like.
Yes, that's what I thought too. I was like, wait, but this can't be right. And then I had to look online for the track order, and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, this is what it is. My first song's last. Okay, all right, fair enough. I've listened to songs where part 4 starts at the first track and part 1 is at the end of the album. So okay, I'm on for the ride.
Yeah, fuck me, what do I know?
Fuck you, what do I know? So yes, I would also recommend the Black Album wholeheartedly. I do think that this is a great way to get into it. I would also agree with you that Blueprint is. I mean, Hova is such a classic song, and honestly, I think maybe this is better because you're going to get more as you get into like later Jay-Z of what you're going to see with him. Whereas earlier Jay-Z, I mean, it's
early still, but he's still like, even like, he came out of the gate like a strong MC, but I think he really needed a strong production to really kind of showcase that. It's kind of hard. You could be like it's like you can be a great vocalist, but if you don't have like the right band behind you, it's kind of wasted.
Well, yeah, I mean, we brought up the fact of Tina Turner, right? Tina Turner was in that one band, and the band, there was the story where she was live, and the band was completely off, so it made her sound off, but the thing was that luckily whoever was there from the studio recognized that it wasn't her, that it was the music, and so he grabbed her and was like, hey, and put her on the album and put her in the studio, and sure enough, it was the fact that the band was out of tune and wasn't hitting where they needed to be. Yeah. So, I will bring up, do you want to talk about reviews for this album? I mean, this album, you would think would have been universally praised, except The Guardian is a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much liked. It was just, a few people just not getting it, I think. I mean, they did. Maybe it's just not in their wheelhouse.
There was always going to be those hot takes, right? They're going to come back and be like, like, this is what The Guardian says. For all the dark wordplay, the album is an oral relevant of that of America's favorite, the schmaltzy biopic. Despite innumerable producers, there's little here tune-wise to match Jay's dexterous delivery and enormous reputation. The fuck?
Yeah, no shit. Like, yeah, it's yeah. Like Jay-Z said, fuck critics, they can kiss his whole asshole.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You don't like my lyrics, you can press fast forward.
Yep. Again, just the man. I like to write, but Jay-Z can fucking like write. Like,
he has a talent.
That is like a talent that very few people have. So to be able to like, even just like fucking burns, man. Like, holy shit. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
The man is like he's fucking brilliant, and this is top tier hip hop album. Like, I'm hard pressed to find another album of this time, especially, that even comes close. You know what I mean? It's especially where hip hop was in the early 2000s. A lot of it was a lot of horse shit.
Well, as you mentioned, there was that hole, of the two greats had been kind of killed. People were getting out.
Well, it was like that. Just like it was all imploding. Like it was the two greats, cut down in their prime.
Yep.
But even if they hadn't, it was just imploding. That whole East Coast West Coast thing. I mean, it was just the shady business practices and the lawsuits, and it was just imploding. And then like a lot of it started becoming uninspired.
Yes, it ran into Interestingly enough, hip hop came out around the same time as grunge did, and imploded around the same time that grunge did.
Hip hop came out around the time punk did.
Well, I'm saying the style. Yes, I mean
the gangster rap and grunge. I think.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Gangster rap, grunge. That's probably around the closer.
I'm sorry. Yes, Grace. Let me clarify. Gangster rap and grunge came out around the same time. Yes, and they both imploded around the same time.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's just like, people just kind of got sick of it. It was like, the gangster genre. It's just, I mean, it comes in waves now where it's popular again, and then it's not. But it's just like there's only so much you can do with gangster rap, I guess. Mm-hmm. Where like if you fall under the umbrella, like Jay-Z, he can be gangster, but he can also be just straight up hip hop and rap. Like if you don't expand, if you don't expand, you're gonna become stagnant.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the smart thing. Jay-Z, he never became stagnant because he was always expanding sounds and his rhymes and his flow. Like he was just always fucking working at it. So you couldn't really pigeonhole him. I mean, people could probably try. But he's like now he's a titan of industry and Jesus Christ. I think he's a billionaire.
I believe he is worth $1 billion at this point. I think he is. Let me look at his net worth here. 1.3 billion.
Yeah.
Jay-Z.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the guy, he didn't become stagnant, and that's important. Like we've talked about that with rock bands and everything. Well, if you become stagnant, then nobody's going to care. Nope. You keep churning out the same shit, nobody's going to care.
Yes. You
got to have that drive. You got to have that drive to keep pushing forward.
Yep. No, 100%. You got to reinvent. Like, so you look at some of the best artists, again, Radiohead, right? Jesus Christ, they reinvented Madonna would almost reinvent herself almost every fucking album. She was the master. David Bowie was the master of reinventing himself.
Lou Reed.
I mean,
Kanye West.
Kanye
he did 808s and Heartbreaks. He did an emo album.
Yep. I mean, you gotta be able, and the thing is, there's
Beastie Boys,
the Beastie Boys, but you gotta do it, and you gotta do it right. Because let's talk about what's his nuts that put out the rock, the rapper that put out the rock album. Oh my god, yeah, Lil Wayne put out that rock album, and which was good in concept, but the execution, I mean, that should have been a reinvention of himself. But wasn't done the right way. Because in all honesty, he really wasn't reinventing himself. He kept a lot of the same things, but promoted it as a reinvention along the same failure lines that on the opposite end of the spectrum, one Garth Brooks had when he tried to do Chris Gaines. It was the same missteps that those two made together.
Let's also talk about the greatest change we've covered on here, and that was Pat Boone's in the metal movie.
I knew you were going there, you cocksuck. Yeah.
Choo-choo. Crazy train.
Crazy chain. Choo-choo. Crazy train.
I think you have PTSD from that experience, Paul.
I have PTSD from that experience. I really, really do, because I blew myself up listening to that fucking album.
I don't think I've found you that angry before.
I don't think I've been that angry before.
You were almost as angry as Jay-Z.
I was almost as angry as Jay-Z. No, it was rough. Joe, I know this might be a little bit before this one comes out, because as of the recording of this one, I am still working on the new theme song for the 3rd season. But what do you and Joe have going on at the Joe Down?
We're going to be reviewing this week Never Been Kissed.
Oh, fuck.
Drew Barrymore vehicle. It's I watched the first half hour today, and I was going to follow it up with a revenge pick, because that's how I typically do it. But I think Brown just self-owned him on this one to the point where he was his own worst revenge with the first half hour of this movie. Like, I'm not going to top it, so I don't know what I'm going to pick next. But originally it was going to be Grown Ups 1, because we did Grown Ups 2 during Adam Sandler month, which almost destroyed the Joe Down when we did that.
Oh, boy.
We did that. We did Adam Sandler month, and then the pandemic happened. Like, maybe I shouldn't, mock the gods again.
No. Maybe you shouldn't. Fuck, dude. Speaking of movies, real quick, I will say we watched a classic. I don't know if you saw that on my Facebook or not, and I haven't seen this movie since. Oh my god, I think since it came out on video. Which was, and yes, I'm using the term video properly, which was Romancing the Stone, sir.
Oh.
And let me tell you something. I fucking loved it.
Did you ever watch the sequel?
Jewel of the Nile?
Yeah.
I did, and it's nowhere near as good. War of the Roses, it is not. But I forgot how young Danny DeVito never looked.
It's like weird seeing him on old episodes of Taxi.
Yeah, right? he's got that Patrick Stewart thing where they just always looked old,
Yep.
but now like you watch Picard, you're like, oh, you are old, and now I watch Always Sunny, I'm like, oh, you are old. Like I did not realize you weren't old back then.
Oh. Well, he plays Frank Reynolds. Paul, he may be old, but he has those condoms for his massive dong.
Awesome. Trash can.
I'm the trash man.
I'm the trash man. All right, Joe. Well, are you going to ask me what we're going to do next?
Paul, what are we going to do next?
Well, we avoided some controversy with this particular episode, but it seems like there's been a theme since our season 3, which we've been talking about a lot of problems and problematic music. And
season 3, this is our first episode.
This is the first episode, but the ones I haven't released yet prior to this will be part of season 3. Okay. Is what I'm saying. Yeah. So, but I decided to go head on into problematic music. The one that when you and I were young, this was the album that we were probably never supposed to hear.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to pick.
The album that was so terrible that it was considered legally obscene. And it's the first album in history to be deemed legally obscene. Do you know where we are going, Joe?
I'm guessing 2 Live Crew.
As nasty as they wanna be.
Give it to me, baby.
Yep. Now, I have been planning this one for a little bit because I knew I was going to follow up the Jay-Z one with this one. I am going to tell you right now. Hopefully, Spotify. Are you still using Spotify these days, or did you get rid of it?
No, I got rid of Spotify.
Okay, so what are you using these days? Because YouTube Music does not have the dirty version of this album. It only has the clean version, which is called As Clean as They Want to Be.
Let me check. I'm on Amazon 2 Live Crew.
As nasty as they want to be.
Oh, man.
Which such hits as Me So Horny, Put Her in the Buck, Dick Almighty, I Ain't Bullshittin', The Fuck Shop, Badass Bitch, and Reggae Joint.
Oh, man.
Get the fuck out of my house.
Oh, there's a Live Crew.
I will tell you, it is on YouTube, just not YouTube Music.
That's fine. That's just nasty as they want to be. Let me see here. $18 tracks.
It would be 18 tracks.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, 2 Live Crew is Nasty They Wanna Be, but it's under the 2 Live Crew Luke's side A, which is a weird, I guess, how they snuck it onto Amazon.
I'm gonna guess how they snuck it on the Amazon. Yeah.
It was a song. It's the classic Dick Almighty.
Yeah, the classic Dick Almighty. Yes, yes. With
The Fuck Shop.
The Fuck Shop. If you believe in having sex, get the fuck out of my house.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
remember this was on the TV news.
This was on the national TV news, sir. Yeah, and to give you guys an idea, national TV news in the 80s was way different than national TV news now.
It was actual news.
It was actual news. Like this was a big. Like I remember this, and I believe Mortal Kombat. We had assemblies about this record, about this album, about not listening to it, about not, that it was obscenity, that no one should be listening to it, that it should be banned. If I'm not mistaken, we did have an assembly about not the album itself, but about music like this. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it was a stupid time. Everybody was afraid of words and video games. Not much has changed.
No.
Now it's the left upset with it instead of the right. It's great. It's great. We're just through the fucking looking glass now.
We are through the left looking glass. You know,
Words are like bullets, Paul, and video games rot people's brains, and masturbating puts hair on your palms.
yes.
And I don't even know. It's, yeah.
Yeah. Now, to give you an idea, and I thought about doing the clean version of it just because I thought it'd be funny and call this clean as they want to be, but that's only 11 tracks. And it's no, we gotta hit up the real, you know, the real oomph.
Paul, I'm so excited to be, because now we're heading into the summer. I'm going to be cruising around Fargo, North Dakota, blasting Two Life Crew out of my car with my windows down.
Oh my god, dude, it's gonna be genius. Yeah, no, I really wanted to tackle this one because, you know, this one when they talk about like the parents against music, this was its whole separate thing.
Yeah.
This album they wanted it like literally made obscene, and it was determined to be legally obscene, which is a whole nother thing. Like they went as far as to try and get it banned from even being able to. It
was banned, wasn't it?
I believe that. So
that was the lawsuit started, I believe, in Florida, right?
The lawsuit. Yes, yeah, no. The band was arrested when they performed the track at a strip club. They were arrested.
Oh, you're playing obscene music in a strip club, you know?
Yeah, no.
Let me clutch my pearls for a second.
I mean, if you can't do obscene music in a strip club,
won't somebody please think of the children?
I know, right? I mean, when you really think about it, it is a ridiculous thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, and I bring this up now. David Bowie, of all people, stopped a performance mid-song to actually talk about As Nasty as They Want to Be. And I will give the quote in the album, but he went to their defense in the middle of a song he did to actually call out and be like, you know what, this is what, no. So yeah, no, there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes to this album. So it's going to be a bit of a long one, considering the album itself runs about 80 minutes. But it's going to be 80 glory hole minutes, dude.
Oh, I love it, Paul.
I'm glad you do. This is going to be a fun one.
We're going to get canceled.
We are going to get canceled. And that's something I really want to bring up is we'll talk about that because I know this album actually pretty well. And yes, we're going to talk about canceling as well. Like there's a lot of things we got to discuss around this album because I think as you listen to it, you're going to giggle, but you're also there's going to be other things that come to your head and you're going to go, really for that? Really?
Things that make you go,
Things that make you go, Dick almighty. All right, Joe, do you have any, do you want to take us out?
No.
This has been Rate That Album with Paul Muad'Dib and Joe Fremming. Thank you for listening.